Hey, bae.
Given that's how we live it, don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I love you. God loves you best. Hello, hello, hello. You are tuned in to Ronnie P TV. I am yours truly, Ronnie P. And today or tonight, we are back for another review of Married at First Sight, Season 11, Episode 2, I've Never Met My Fiancé. This episode was really good. It's the introduction of 3 of the 5 couples going into their nuptials and their wedding ceremonies. The 3 couples that we have getting married are Karen and Miles, Olivia and Brett, and Amani and Woody. The episode starts where it left off, and we see Karen still talking to the producers and telling them how she got this text that she wasn't supposed to get, and she did some research and she doesn't think that she's going to be into Mr. Miles, and she thinks that he's just too much person that's in touch with his feelings. He's a big ball of feelings, and that's not her type. Well, I'm here with what Pastor Cal says. Her type hasn't been working for her, so maybe it's time for her to try something different. But nevertheless, she speaks with the producers, and they even give her the opportunity to say if it's something that she feels like she doesn't want to go through with, certainly she can go ahead and call it quits. But she goes ahead and continues with the ceremony and the wedding, and we see her walk down the aisle. I think her dress is absolutely beautiful. I thought that was a beautiful dress. It was simple, but it had a lot of delicate, intricate detail to it, and it was just absolutely beautiful. She looked very pretty in that dress. And we see Miles later on. He's with his family and his groomsmen, and he's trying to keep a dry face himself because he is one who's in touch with his feelings, and he's not bashful or afraid or ashamed to cry. And so he gives his mother a big hug, and then his sister comes up and he gives her a big hug, and then they have a quick prayer before he gets ready to walk out. And I love how when he did walk out and he greeted his family and he greeted the family of the bride, how he gave the mother of the bride such an endearing hug. I thought that was very sweet of him. He's coming across as a real gentleman. So that's my first impression of him, and he looked stunning in his tuxedo. I love that burgundy on him. It looked so good. I just wish that his slacks were a little longer. I don't know what it is about tuxedos and how they're cut now, these new style with the straight legs, and they're a little shorter, but I just wish that the slack was a little longer. But he looked absolutely gorgeous. I thought both of them looked very, very good. They looked beautiful. But they both express how they are feeling a little bit of nerves, and so as Miles is standing and waiting for Karen to walk out, the doors open. She comes down the aisle. They introduce themselves. She sees him. She doesn't look underwhelmed. She doesn't look as if she knows him or she knew what to expect. So I don't know what the text was all about, but they were right as far as the information that they gave, at least. But I don't think that she had already met him before. she might have thought that she knew him, but I don't think she knew him. But what really stood out is when during their vows, Karen began to cry. And what I peeped was how Miles's sister was just sitting there and she was rocking, and her eyes were just glared down on Karen like, if you make one false move against my brother, girl, I will hurt you. I will snap you like a twig. Like, her look was a death stare. It was not even playing, and I was here for it. When she started all that crying, she was looking like, what is her problem? Why is she crying? And she was just sitting there and she was just rocking. Because she was calm and she was sitting there. And then I love cameras sometimes. Cameras catch the things. Your eyes got to be everywhere sometimes, because the camera will go places and they catch things and you got to catch it too. And so that's one of the things that I caught, was her rocking like she was going to rock Karen if she hurt or disrespected her brother in any way, shape, or form. And girl, I don't blame you. Family first. But Miles was here to console Karen, and he handed her his handkerchief, and you could hear the audience say, "Aw," and I know that even Karen was touched when he handed her his handkerchief. He was a gentleman throughout the entire ceremony, and then at the end when he asked her could he give her a kiss, but he was still considerate of her. He knew that she was not so comfortable, so he just gave her a very sweet, endearing kiss on the cheek, and I thought it was beautiful. And so they went ahead and they came out, and then when they came out and they had their champagne, when they have that time right before they take their photos, Karen tells Miles that she got a glimpse of who he was prior to the wedding. But how she expresses it was that one of her bridesmaids actually got the text. But she said that she received a text that she thought she wasn't supposed, that she might not have supposed to get. I don't know how this story, how much of it is true or what she's adding or subtracting, but we know that she also didn't really give the whole full rundown when he asked her, well, how did you feel when you saw who I was? She didn't tell him how she freaked out, and she didn't tell him how, well, at first I didn't think you would be my type. It's honest. Maybe she thought that's not something that you would say, it would be off-putting, but it's honest because you said it and he's gonna see it. So you might as well tell him. I don't know why she thinks that they're not gonna show it, but oh baby, they're gonna show it. It's gonna play back later on. But they both express that they both feel a little overwhelmed. And Karen says that she feels like Miles is very easy to talk to, and he is a gentleman. He's been a gentleman throughout this time. I wrote down what I felt like my thoughts were for this couple. My thoughts, I'm hopeful that Miles will be able to be patient with Karen, seeing that she's been in not the healthiest relationships before in the past, and love her through that if she allows him to. And then I'm hoping for Karen that she will allow herself to let her guards down and take a chance. In this case, she says she's not a big risk taker, but she took a risk in this entire experiment by doing this. This is a big risk. So that's a bit of an oxymoron. But I hope that she allows herself to take another risk and let her guards down and see the good that can come out of this, that she can be loved and respected the way that she wants to, and she can finally and hopefully build a solid foundation of trust with someone else. And I think it's great that they paired her with someone who is really in touch with their feelings, and because her feelings have been damaged. So she needs someone who is whole in that department to get her back whole again. But she has to be open to the concept. And that's what I'm hoping for that couple. And now moving on to Olivia and Brett. Here's how I feel about Olivia and Brett. I feel like this is a Lindsay Zach situation from last season, and I said last review that I did not want to compare any of these couples to any previous couples, but Brett is really giving me Zach vibes. And I hope I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. I'll be so happy to come back and say I was wrong. But for right now, I'm sticking with what I said. We have Olivia. She's getting ready. She's preparing. Olivia she's a cute young lady. I don't want to call any of these young women girls because they're not girls. They're young women. But she's cute. And I know they say babies are cute, but she has this sweet, adorable sense about her. And that's why I call her cute. But she's getting ready, and she says she's been calm throughout this whole process, but she gets really touched and tearful when her father Sterling walks in, because she explains that she doesn't see her father very often because they don't live very close to each other. And so she only sees him a few times a year, but they talk about 3 to 4 times a week on the phone. So she was really happy to see her dad when he walked in the room, and she got to spend a little bit of time with him before the ceremony. Her dress was really nice. That train was just so arrogant. Her train on her dress was just obnoxiously long. And I say that in a good way. It was just material, just dress. Like when people talk about classic trains, that's her dress. I thought it was really good because that's what it put me in the mind of, all that train. I was like, wow, they need people just for her train. But she gives me her personality. She gives me very endearing, very loving, very genuine. And I'm hoping that this experience brings her what she's looking for, a long-lasting relationship, or it gives her a better understanding of who she is and what she wants for herself long term. Brett, his personality, he gives me carefree and cynical. He's just cynical and carefree. He was described as a serial dater. So I don't have very much of an expectation. But getting right down to it, when I really felt like he was underwhelmed when he saw Olivia. I don't think he was excited very much with her aesthetically. I don't think that the attraction was there for him, even though he said later on that he was very attracted to her. He gave this saying that she's the type of girl that he could see himself picking up in a bar, but and no disrespect to Olivia, but I feel like he's picked up a few dogs in bars. He'll pick up about anything if the mood is right in a bar. I really believe so. So I didn't take that as a compliment to Olivia, is what I'm trying to say. So no offense to her, but he didn't compliment her either when he said that. And he was very stoic, even though he gave his vows were really nice. The kiss seemed believable. During the ceremony, when he kissed the bride, seemed very believable. But after the ceremony, during that little intermission when they're waiting to take the photos, he was very stoic. And he, like, low-key shaded Olivia when he asked her what she liked to do. And she said, she likes to work out. And he was like, oh, really? I'm like, Brett, don't go there. Don't start. He showed more emotion on the lady he was trying to push up on at the bachelor party than he did on his own bride. And I anticipated that because I just did. I already felt like, okay, this isn't going to work out, and he's not going to be pleased. But he's doing what some people know how to do best, and he's putting on a front to appease her and not come across looking like a complete hole on camera. But because he is a hole, it's going to begin to show itself in only a matter of time. It's just the inevitable. His whole family, as a matter of fact, is like their foundation is sarcasm. Decorum does not live or reside within them. Nothing about them says decorum. His parents opted not to come. They did not show up, and I don't blame them. When they heard about him getting married, they weren't impressed. So them not coming, I'm not surprised. It seemed like they both seemed relieved that they both were cat lovers. And I think that's good, because a lot of people don't like, only people who like cats are cat people. Olivia finds him attractive. He says he finds her attractive. But like I said, only time will tell. I don't have high hopes, unfortunately, for this couple. But we're going to go ahead and weigh it through and see what happens. And then lastly, but definitely not least, we have Amani and Woody. This ceremony for me was the best one by far. I didn't have high hopes for Amani and Woody. I was apprehensive on what could happen because I thought Amani might be too serious, and I thought Woody might just be too much of a cavalier, showboating, into himself kind of guy. But so far, in the first impression, he showed himself to be very caring, very sincere, very in the moment. And I was pleasantly pleased and surprised with what I saw. So Imani's scene starts with a little prayer because her best girlfriend says that she will go to jail for Imani, and she wanted to say a prayer because she didn't want to have to hurt nobody if they hurt her friend. And I feel you, girl. And then we see Woody with his mother and his grandmother, Miss Yvonne. And side note, I just have to express Miss Yvonne, which is Woody's grandmother. She looks like Lyrica G, which is the mother of Lyrica from Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. They favor a lot, in a good way, not a bad way, in a good way. So I was like, oh wow, that was the first person I thought of. I was like, oh my goodness, that looks like Lyrica's mom. But the only thing that caught my eye was when Woody did not go over and hug the mother of the bride. He didn't hug Imani's mom. He spoke, but he did speak. But the other two grooms did hug the mothers of the bride. But I don't know, maybe it was his nerves, his jitters, and he was just like, or maybe he didn't want to get his white tux messed up. He's like, it's just like makeup on me. It's like kryptonite. I get it, Woody. You got to stay cute. And then right before Imani goes out, she starts to have a little panic attack. She's like, what did y'all let me do? Why y'all letting me do this? It's like, girl, calm down. You got this. So Imani gets herself together in her beautiful gown. Everybody's gowns were beautiful. I have to say, they were absolutely beautiful. Everybody, she looked like Coming to America, but she looked really, really beautiful. She looked like Coming to America. But she comes down the aisle, and so she has her father and her stepfather. So her father walks her halfway to her stepfather, and then her stepfather walks her down the aisle, and I thought that was nice. Now, I just couldn't put my finger on Imani's father. I couldn't put my finger on it. He was a very pleasant man, very pleasant man. I just don't know what to say, so I won't say anything. Okay, so I would say this. I think that there was a lot of fun at Imani and Woody's ceremony. I think they had the most fun at their ceremony. It was very relaxed. I love their vows. I love the exchange between the both of them. I like how their rapport between each other. They were able to be a support for one another while they were exchanging their vows. And I thought that was really beautiful. And so I thought it was very gentleman of Woody when he asked, can I kiss you? And so when they said you can kiss the bride, and so they kissed, and it was really sweet. And so Imani tells Woody during the intermission that he is doing some heavy flirting. And so Woody says, well, you know, I should be able to flirt with my wife. It's okay for me to flirt with my wife. And so she said, no, I'm flattered. I appreciate it. It's okay. It's cute. And then he asked her, OMG, he asked her, Are you mixed with something? Are you foreign? Now, as someone who is mixed with something and who is foreign and who gets asked that, I thought that crazy question was just what I called it, a crazy question. And she's like, no, I'm just melanin. I'm just beautifully me. But he said, are you mixed with something? Are you foreign? That just took me out, because I am mixed with something and I am foreign. So when I'm asked that question, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, fortunately, because I'm proud of all of my heritage, I answer yes. And I will say, back to Woody and Amani, I will say they had the best photos because they were so relaxed and just so carefree and in the moment and enjoying themselves and having a good time. I thought it was amazing. So I have high hopes right now for Woody and Amani, and their first dance was everything. I love the toast that Woody's cousin gave. It was very endearing, very heartfelt, very emotional. It was unexpected to Woody, apparently, because it made him shed tears, and it was very sweet. So, and it did something for Amani too. So this episode was really good. It could have been condensed. It was really drawn out, but it was a good episode. Leave in the comments section below. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Let me know what you thought about the 3 couples that got married and your thoughts and your predictions on who you think is doing well right in the beginning, just right off the beat thus far, right after saying I do. Personally, I think that Woody and Amani are hitting it off great. They're off to a great start. As always, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to share if you care. And most importantly, subscribe to my channel. Thank you as always. A pleasure spending time with you. I love it, love it, love it. It's so awesome to be back. Kind of feel off kilter, but I will get back in the swing of things. And until next time, mwah, bye.